Today, I'm gonna go over every button and function on the ES350 while using my new toy, the InstaFlow. The previous videos did so well when I did this on the RX as well as the NX, and no, this isn't me just trying to justify to my boss the purchase of the InstaFlow. I do really like this, but we'll get into it. A lot of people in the comments wanted me to do other cars like the ES and some of our other SUVs, so more to come. Let me know in the comments below which ones I should do next. Okay, so the one we're looking at today is the ES350 Sport Design. I've done some other videos on this, so I think it suits going over every button and function and probably some other little extras and things like that. I'm sure I'll miss something and I'll probably talk too much, but that's okay. So the first thing that I always forget about is the key. So taking a look at the key, it is the newer designed. Some of our keys are still a little bit bulky. This one's pretty sleek. It's got a little bit of a curvature on one side. Actually, both sides have curvature, but one is actually aluminum, which is kind of nice. Lock, unlock, trunk, and the panic button. Now, on most of our cars, I noticed the panic button has a better range than the lock and unlock. And on the back, we just have the Lexus emblem, and it fits in your pocket quite nicely. So when we hit the unlock, you can hear that very pleasant beep, and it also lights up things like the mirrors, as well as the daytime running lights turn on, the signals turn on, stuff like that. But I'm just gonna pop the hood and we'll start under the hood. Just sort of line ourselves up here. We're gonna go pretty much right in line with the Lexus emblem itself. And like most Lexuses, it's on dampers. So you can just sort of prop it open. You don't need to use a prop rod or anything like that. Those days are over for most of our cars. And underneath the hood, we have our beautiful V6. And on the ES, it's sort of a mixture between covered over and not covered over. So we have this plastic cover that's just sort of clicked in there, but then we can still see a lot of the elements and stuff like that. But there really isn't a whole lot to go over under here because there's not a lot of buttons and functions you should be pressing underneath the hood, I'm sure. But I did want to show you how to open it. And probably you should also know that your washer fluid is off to the left. So that is your washer fluid. Don't get it confused with the coolant, which is right behind there. That one's got the hose on the top. Don't put windshield washer fluid in your coolant, but you could put your windshield washer fluid in the proper spot. And it's pretty easy to get to the battery if you ever had to boost it. We have trickle chargers on ours in the showroom. That's what you see, some extra wires and stuff there, but that's pretty much all you're gonna really wanna look at in there. On the front, there really isn't any buttons or functions. Just make sure that you keep your parking sensors clear of snow and debris if you live in Canada. And I will show you now that I'm in front of the car again, that function of the daytime running lights turning on. So I know it's really bright in here right now, but you can still kind of see it, I think. Looking to the side of the car, in terms of buttons and functions, it's mostly the interior, but I will show you how the door handles work. When you walk up to them, it is the classic door handle mechanical. It's not the new electronic one. You can hit lock by pressing that little dimple right there, and then unlock by just putting your finger inside the handle. And I will show you, my favorite setting is that when it's locked, I have those mirrors folded in. And the reason is, well, it kind of looks cool with the mirrors folded in, but also when it's in my driveway, and I can't remember if I could lock my car, it's nice to be able to just look and see the mirrors folded in. And then that way I'm always just kind of used to what it looks like when it's locked. The rear door is the same as the front. We also have our little gas door here. It's not one of the ones that you can just press on. Instead, you have to go into the driver's side footwell. And when you press that, it opens up. And then once you're in there, gas cap. Ooh, this one doesn't even say any sticker, which means it takes regular gas, in Canada at least. And you can rest that gas cap there. I guess that's the best spot for it. Some of them fit a little bit better than that, but at least it gets it out of the way. And then, of course, I always do make sure it clicks, and then it's locked. Then we have the back of the ES, which I just want to show you the taillights by pressing that unlock again. And you can see that is where your rear view camera is. It's right underneath the Lexus emblem. Now, the trigger to open this is off to the right. So you can see it's sort of, if you were to line up with the ES350, it's just over and up, and that's where it is. And it's very light. It's a very light trunk. And on the inside of the trunk, you can see it has the emergency exit. So that's when you're a kid and you're playing in your parents' trunk and you get stuck in there because you're waiting for them to come out and scare them, that's how you get out, and it goes in the dark. So usually you can see it from in there. Trust me, I've done it. Maybe we'll do a video of it, I doubt it, but anyway. In here, we just have some hooks and things like that for the netting. So the net is already usually attached to the bottom, and what you do is you just unzip it, and then you can fold it out, and then you just kind of like hook to one side and then to the other side. And then now you have a net to put things in. With a trunk this size, which is pretty decently sized, if you have small items, they're always moving around. And then we have the summer mats because we always install winter mats on all of our cars here. And then we have a pass-through that you can see a little bit further there. Underneath the carpet is how you get at the spare tire. So you move the carpet around, and then you just lift on the little area that says lift, and underneath there is the full-size spare tire and a little bit of space for like the tools and stuff. And because of the tools being underneath there, that's why the trunk space is so big. Like there's these cavities off to the sides because of that. And if you ever needed to get in your gas cap, but you had a dead battery because you ran out of gas, there is a little area in here. You can see that little, it's like a little plastic cover. That unscrews and you can reach in there and pull like a lever to open up your gas door. So just in case you wondered, that's how you do it, okay? Now into the interior, because we're gonna have a lot more buttons and functions even just getting into it. So I already showed you how to open the car, but while we're standing here, let's look at some other buttons. So on the beautiful door panel, we have 1, 2, and 3 for the memory seats, and then the set. So I always do them together where I like press set with one finger and then press number 1 with the other. You'll hear a beep and that will lock your seat, your mirrors, and your steering wheel all in the place that you have. And then you do it for number 2 and number 3 for different settings. And then that way they're all programmed. Then we have our window switch. So the driver window has a little dimple there. So you can just kind of feel with, you know, muscle memory, which one is which. And then it does a half click to roll, and then the double click to just have that window come all the way down. All 4 do that. So it's a premium vehicle, that's a premium feature. All 4 go all the way down just with that double touch. It's actually called a 5-way switch. Then we have the lockout buttons for all the doors to be able to roll up and down their windows, unlock and lock. And then we have our mirror switch. So in auto, so in the middle, it's like a rocker switch. So over to the right would fold in those mirrors. Over to the left would keep the mirrors out. And then auto is when it folds them in when you lock it. So dusty advice is to put it in that one, because that's what I like to do. Then we have our little joystick to adjust the mirrors, and then left and right. And you can have your tilt down set up that way too. So when you're in reverse, you can set like a second position for those mirrors. And then that way when you put it in reverse the next time, they'll automatically tilt down, which is really good for like not hitting curbs and stuff like that. That's another thing that I do. Let's go over to the seat. So on this particular package, these are the switches. So we have forward and backward for the seat, for the driver, then up, but we can also twist this. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I can twist the seat to really sort of like angle and do a few different things. And then we have just backrest. So you just sort of like touch these buttons to be, you know, the direction that you want the seat. And then just like a basic lumbar on this particular package. While I'm down here, I'll show you, we have this little doohickey, which opens up a little change area. A little bit of an old school Lexus feature, but it's still there. We already showed you the gas door, and then we have a trunk button. And I already showed you the hood button. Okay, so now that we're in here, I'm gonna try to get this whole shot, which is a little bit tricky because it's a little tight, but that's okay. So to the left of the steering wheel, so just sort of off to the side here, we have our lights. So daytime running lights or parking lights, headlights on or auto, which is the one all the way to the bottom. So the auto is technically also the off. They're the same on this, so keep it in auto. So right here is the auto high beams. So you would push these out and leave them out and then press that and it'll light up and actually tell you that auto high beams is on. Then we have signal down is left, signal up is right, depending where you live, I guess. The thing about the ES, it's a little bit older of a design, and some of the buttons are a little hard to get to. So we have odometer and trip, and then our dimmer. So the dimmer left and right. A little bit tricky to get to. You're probably not gonna do that a whole lot, but it's there. We do have our vents off to the left, and I will say, the vent dial to the left, it's really good quality. It's kind of like a soft rubber to be able to close and open the vents, and then you can change the direction of the vents. The little start-stop button, if your foot's on the brake, it's flashing the same tempo as a heartbeat. So it's like do-doom, do-doom, do-doom. And that is supposed to be a homage to the exhilarating driving experience you're about to have. I'm not gonna turn it all the way on. I just wanna turn the accessory on to show you a few of these things. Up to the left, while we wait for that to start, is the traction control off. It looks like it's a twisty. It's not a twisty, it's a button on the side. So you just sort of press that, that turns traction control off. You'd only ever really need to do that if you're stuck somewhere and you need all the power going to your wheels, like probably in the snow or something like that. Then to the right, we have sport, normal, and eco. So to use that, those are our different drive modes. So twist up for sport, press for normal, and then down is for eco. And the reason that that is there, and this started with the ES redesign in 2019. It's called the driver in command or driver in control. If a driver is driving, as drivers do, you can switch your drive modes by just reaching and not having to take your eyes off the road. Where a lot of times they're kind of like down in the center here, and then you kind of like look down. Where with this one, it's like right in your driver view, which is really nice. Okay, the steering wheel controls, this is the OG. This is the old school steering wheel controls. Some people love these still. I like the new ones because I got used to them, but I don't hate these ones either. I like them both. Who am I saying? I'm optimistic. I like everybody. So to the left, we have volume up and down. And then we have a little talk button. If you hold it, you can do like Siri's iFree and stuff like that. Then we have a talk switch, or sorry, a phone switch. If your phone's paired, it'll just get you to the phone screen of the big multimedia display. And then we have this little back button. And I actually just used it a second ago because it was showing me a message that my door's open and I wanted to exit out of that. Actually, I'll show you right now. Look, ta-da. So that's how you exit out of that. And then we have up, down, left, and right. And all those are really for is that screen sort of like off to the left there. You can see there's like little columns. So if I go left, I see audio. If I go left again, I see a compass, and that's where your navigation would show up if we had a navigation on. And then left again is fuel economy, but then if I go up and down now with these buttons, and now under that same column, I have range, I have average speed, I have an eco indicator that tells me when I'm doing a good job driving economically. I have active pressure for the tires, which is cool, and then a blank screen. I don't think this is customizable in this order, but if we go over to the right some more, we'll see like our radar cruise control, our lane departure. If the car needed to yell at us about anything, it would be there. And then we have some settings under that gear. And under the settings, we have things like lane center, which we want to keep on. It's kind of like the lane departure alert, but on steroids. So it really keeps you in the center of your lane, even if there's a curve. We have how the alert is. So I have it set to vibrate instead of yelling at me. Then I have the sensitivity, the radar cruise control. You can press here and change the curve speed reduction. So that's how the car slows down when the radar cruise is on for a curve in the road. Pre-collision system, always leave that guy on, and that's right there, PCS. Blind spot monitoring, you can turn that on. Parking, oh, what does PKSA stand for? Why am I drawing a blank? That's the parking sensors. And you can have the auto braking parking sensors on. Units you can change in this screen, so that's good if you're crossing over the border and you want to go to miles per hour or kilometers per hour, depending where you live. You can change it there. And then we have vehicle settings. This is where you could turn off or on things like rear seat reminder. So this is a big life hack I get asked about all the time. If you leave something in your back seat, like a box of books, and you don't want the car yelling at you about that, you can do that. You can also change like oil maintenance, scheduled maintenance, stuff like that. And then there's also meter settings, which is like, you could actually you can customize that front screen here a little bit. You can just change like what the drive info tells you. So you could change it from like a bar type. You can change a little bit like how the fuel economy shows, if it's after reset or after fuel, those types of things. There isn't much customization on this one, I will say that, but you can change like the language and stuff there too. So that's really what those left buttons on the steering wheel go to. The middle button is a horn. That's what it sounds like. On the right, we have mode. So mode actually means, a lot of people think it's drive mode. It's not drive mode. this is audio mode. So now if I press mode, it'll change between AM, FM, it'll go into, if I had my Bluetooth connected, it would go to that. So this is a really good feature once you have all your audio stuff set up that you want. And then left and right would be for your presets. When I go left and right, it'll actually go up and down my list of presets. And if you had Bluetooth connected, this would be like how you get to your next song, previous song, restart, etc., etc. Then we have our cruise control. So top right corner, cruise control is how we activate that. So when I turn that on, it'll now say cruise control is active. And then I can set the distance here in the top left, and it'll show me that there in that left corner. And then lower and raise that speed for that, or cancel. We can just cancel that or obviously press on the brake. Then we have the lane departure on and off. It's kind of funny that there's a button for that because most people just leave it on or off. They don't necessarily like switch between it all the time. And then we have some paddle shifters behind the steering wheel on the right and left side. They're kind of like a plastic. They're not like the magnesium ones like in the LC, but they do a good job. They do the job that is meant to be, I guess. And then we have our wipers. So normal, and then auto is down one, and then down two is just like the regular going back and forth, and then the really fast one. And you can change the speed too. So when I have it in that normal mode, I could change it to be a little bit lower, or in auto, I think this changes like the sensitivity. We're just gonna put it in normal right now. And if I pull it towards me, it'll shoot water all over the windshield or windshield washer fluid, whatever you wanna call it. In the center, being that this is the sport design, we have our wireless charger. It's kind of cool because the ES has changed almost like quietly a little bit over the years in this little general area, because we used to have the mouse pad here. And now with the touchscreen being closer, we don't have the mouse pad anymore. And it's left more room for activities, as I would say. So now we have our wireless charger right here. It's nice and big, so as phones keep getting bigger, your phone should be able to fit there. And then we have our brake hold. So brake hold is a great feature if you're in the drive-thru or if you're in stop and go traffic and you just want to give your braking leg a little bit of rest without having to take it out of gear. You just press that button and then the car will still stop even in gear. And then when you're ready to go, you just press on the gas and it'll deactivate it. And then we have our cup holders. That is a function, even though it's not a button. I guess these are little buttons. And then we have this little trap door where if we open it, you can see a USB, I think it's called USB-A, and a USB-C, and that's a quick charger, hidden underneath this beautifully crafted trapdoor. And the trapdoor is more than you think because it doesn't just like angle down, it actually angles down and goes down and then comes back up to be flush. And then we have this little, I think this is the gear release lever in there, but I'm not gonna try it. And then the shifter itself is what we see on like the new GX and stuff like that, where it's like one of my favorite shifters. It's a good height for one and good materials. And then the actual action of doing it, of activating it, is very ergonomic. So you don't have to apply much pressure, just put it into gear, out of gear, and it's good to go. Before I get up to those features, let's talk about the armrest. So this armrest was one of the first, this in the LS, to have the ability to open it from either side. So you can open it from the left or the right. There's a couple USBs in there. There is the 12-volt cigarette lighter style, and there's a little light too, to be able to see all your knickknacks in there. Not too many layers in there, that's for sure. Then in front of those cup holders, we have all of our seating and heated steering wheel controls. So I like the auto settings. I think the ES does a good job on that, but I usually crank my cooled seat. And interesting enough, the ES cooled seat was one of the first to do the opposite of all the other cool seats, where instead of blowing air at you, it actually sucks the air out. And because of that, it was supposed to be 40% cooler. It makes the leather 40% cooler and a lot quicker. So sometimes people will be like, oh, my cooled seat isn't working. Well, it's because on the ES, it actually sucks it. Then we have our heated seats. Again, you can do 3 settings or auto, and then the heated steering wheel, which you can do auto, 2, or 1 setting. Again, the ES does a really good job of making it so it's not just where you put your hands on the sides. Above that, we have another super underrated feature in the ES, which is the volume knob. Yes, I know you've heard of volume knobs before, but this one is special because the outside, or like the part closest to me, is the volume. And then the collar is the tuning. So I'm one of those guys, I'm always listening to different stations. I have like 7 stations in a row. You can guess in the comments what my favorite genre of music is. That are my favorite satellite radio stations. Even if I find a song I like, I want to see if one of my other favorite songs is playing. So because of that, I'm always like just going through the tuning of like, you know, station 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, and then back. And it's actually quicker to do that than using my buttons on the steering wheel for my presets. So dying breed, the volume knob, most of them are all buttons now, or, you know, automatic ones and stuff like that, but I do like that it's still there. Well, I guess we'll talk about these radio buttons. So radio, media, seek track, and seek track. The seek track ones, I don't think anybody ever uses. That's these two here. But the radio and media ones are just quick ways to go from AM to FM to your Bluetooth. But again, we have those here as well. And you can touch the screen for those. So probably that's more for the passenger, I guess. Then we have our climate controls, and you'll see a little detail there. I hope I focus. Where when you go up and down for your climate controls, I usually set it to 21 degrees Celsius. But you can see when the number changes, it's almost like it's an analog, which is cool. Then we have off, fan speed. So when you do the fan speed, it kicks off the auto anyway. So if I had it in auto and then I went to like crank the fan speed, you can see it on the screen there. We can change where the air is going if we're not on auto. So down to my feet and the windshield, to my face, that's all through that button. Then we could just override all that and hit front defrost, and it just cranks all of that air to that front windshield. And then we have a timed rear and mirror heaters, which in Canada is always great. And then we have our recirc. So we can have that recirc set to auto. Like if we were in auto, we can have it set to auto and it'll show that it's also recirculating. And then we have the passenger climate control as well. I'm gonna shut all that off right now, even though I am a little warm, just so you guys can hear me. Okay, above that we have some more vent open and closers, some gates to the vents, and our four-ways. And it's always important to know where your four-way's on, because you don't need it until you need it, and then you don't know where to go. And there it is right there, just below the screen and above the climate control. Which brings me to the screen. So here is the new screen in the ES. So it was further away for many, many years. Now it's closer and it's touchscreen and it's really quick. But before we get into that, can we just give some appreciation to, we have a clock here still, and I love that. It's got sort of a brushed aluminum look. It captures the light really nicely. It's also backlit, which looks sharp. So this is the screen. I'm in the radio screen right now. So let's just go really quickly to the main screen. So this is what maps would look like if you had cloud-based navigation on, or if your phone was paired and you were using CarPlay and Android Auto. Then we have our music tab, and this is where you're going to want to set up all your presets. So under favorites, that's where your presets are going to go. And if we could go to FM, then we can actually check out all of the FM genres. So if I was in an R&B mood, it'll show me my local stations for R&B. And then vice versa, we could go to AM, we could go to Sirius XM. The favorites, you can combine all of them. So if we went to one of the favorites, it'll show the little heart off to the side. That means it's a favorite, and we can edit the favorites too. So definitely spend the time to edit the favorites. You can add, you can subtract. You can do like 6 pages of them or something like that. So definitely worthwhile. Then we have our phone settings. Most people probably know how to use that. And then our car diagram. So it shows us just some fuel economy, as well as trip history, trip information, stuff like that. And then in settings, we have, you know, our Bluetooth. That's where you're gonna pair your Bluetooth. And there's Wi-Fi and general. You can create like a hotspot with the Wi-Fi. Not a lot of people do that anymore. And then you could also do some customization. So things like unlocking all the doors instead of just the driver door, which I don't recommend. That is not something I recommend. I always think that just for safety, have it so it just unlocks your door. And then you could have like the seat slide and the column tilt. I call it the easy exit. And you could change, like, again, some of the climate settings and stuff like that. So that's pretty much just like a quick lowdown of that screen. It's optically bonded glass. It's pretty high def, so pretty good job there. And then we have me here in the mirror. So this mirror is just the regular one. It's actually tinting right now because of the light that's on this camera. So it auto tints. We have some garage door programmers here, as well as that tint function. I think we can turn it on and off here if I remember correctly. I think I'm not doing it right. But anyway, that's what that does. Above that, we have our map lights. So the ES does a good job. It's kind of like the soft touch one. And that opens your dome. It's very frosted glass. Then we have our map lights, our SOS button, which is behind a little safety door. Oh, you want to make sure this is in. This is like your dome light to auto turn on, and it doesn't come from the factory that way. So you want to make sure that it's on. And then we have our up and down and our open and close for the sunroof, which is just a single pane of sunroof. In here, just our normal mirror. And it's got the halogen style yellow light. That way it doesn't like totally blind you if you happen to look there while driving. And that's pretty much everything from the driver's seat. Okay, so real quick, we'll just do a quick passenger side. Same thing, the seat controls are the same as the other side. The window switch, we just have the single window switch because you're only gonna control one. However, we have a glove box on this side. So in the glove box, usually there is a very skinny supplement manual, so a really quick like reference guide, and there isn't a ton of space for other stuff. Like maybe some people put their ownership and like insurance and stuff in there. I was told not to do that, so I don't keep mine there. We do have a little handle, the holy crap handle, as well as a microphone. I think that's for the noise canceling, but it could be for the Bluetooth as well, because you're sometimes on Bluetooth, you're talking to both the driver and the passenger if you're on a phone call. So that is the passenger. And of course we can open the armrest from this side, and that's what it sort of looks like. And last but not least, the rear seat, which is very spacious on the ES, so we should check out what's back here. I will say a feature for the front seat that you can see from the back seat is this slider for the 3-point harness. You can raise and lower that depending on your height. I'm 6'1", I've never really changed it. I guess I've never really thought about it, but you definitely can do that. On the rear door, we just have the one button for the window up and down. Interesting enough, you can't lock all the doors from back here. I guess cars don't usually have that on the back anyway. Sort of as we're sitting here, you can also see in the center, we have 2 USB-Cs as well as just a little 12 volt. It says 12 volt 120, but what they really mean is it's the cigarette lighter. We have this armrest. So in the armrest, a couple cup holders, pretty solid armrest if I say so myself. And then that just sort of like folds back in to the seat quite nicely. And that's pretty much it back here. I mean, we do have a little bit of a map pocket. They call it, it's small though, like it doesn't hold a lot. This seat is pretty far back for me right now, but we have that, and we have the holy crap handle above us, which also has a hook on it. So you could hang your suit jacket or whatever there. We have our own map lights too. So, oh, they're not the touch though. I just tried to touch them. They're actually manual buttons. So Lexus did cheap out a little bit. You can't touch them, but you can do the buttons, which is probably safer for kids, to be honest. And that is touch, but I have the setting up there on, so I can't change it right now. But pretty much that's it. Okay, so there you have it. Every button and function on the ES350. I hope you like this video. I do recognize there is higher package ES350s that probably have a couple extra buttons and functions, but I wanted to do it on this beautiful blue one I have in the showroom. And a little bit of foreshadowing, I don't know how many more years I can do this model ES350 because we are due for a change, and I'm sure they're gonna change a lot. Anyway, let me know in the comments below if there's any other button and feature videos that you'd like or that you would like me to do. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and I'll see you in the next video.